Coming up on District Wire News, taste testing. Virginia is changing their alcohol laws in a controversial way that may have some liquor stores going bottoms up.
And unhappy Americans. A new study, 80% of Americans are unhappy with Washington. Our reporters found out why. District Wire's news starts now.
Good afternoon, I'm John Humanick.
And I'm Nahema Jackson Brown.
Metro riders have more to be worried about than just rising fare prices. Since 2005, robberies in the Metro have more than doubled, and Metro is asking passengers to be more careful. Savannah Graybill explains.
Apple's iPod and iPhone are all among the hottest electronics today, and also the most stolen on the Metro. So, Metro has launched an advertising campaign warning riders of a growing theft problem. Metro officials are calling these thefts crimes of opportunity, and there were almost 900 of them last year.
One of my best friends, he was coming home from work over the summer, and he had his iPod out, listening to it, like he was standing right by the door, and then some guy was sitting nearby, just got up real quick right when the door opened, took his iPod and just walked right out the door, like really casually and didn't even make a scene.
Metro police are asking that riders take several steps to protect themselves from theft. They're asking riders to keep electronic devices in a pocket or place that is out of reach. They should swap out earphones for a set that blend in. Riders should keep the volume low and stay alert, and avoid sitting near train or bus doors while using any devices.
I either have my phone zipped in my bag or in my hand. It's never really in a pocket where it can be snatched or anything like that, and I try to keep my bag close to me.
In Washington, Savannah Graybill, District Wire News.
A female student from Georgetown was sexually assaulted this weekend in the area where many students party. The assault happened at 2 a.m. Friday morning, the 3300 block of Prospect Street Northwest. Dozens of bars in the area are frequented by many students from Georgetown. American and George Washington University's bar closes at 2 a.m. on Fridays. No physical injuries were reported in the incident.
Shaw Middle School students returned to school today after the school's principal, Brian Betts, was found dead in his Silver Spring home Thursday. Extra support staff will be at the school to help students and co-workers deal with the loss. Police are continuing to look for the person responsible for his death. Betts' stolen SUV was found in Southeast D.C. on Saturday. Although classes resumed today, scheduled tests are postponed for 2 weeks.
Students at Frostburg University in Western Maryland are in shock today after a fight at a weekend party ended in death. Brandon Carroll, a resident of Waldorf, Maryland, played on the basketball team at Frostburg. Carroll was found dead at the scene when the police arrived around 4 in the morning. The fight began when the 21-year-old Tyrone Hall allegedly assaulted a fellow partygoer.
Legislators in Virginia just passed a new law concerning liquor stores and taste testing before you buy. Caitlin Gard has the story.
Virginia is one of the latest states that is changing what many call an outdated alcohol law. Starting in July, the state will let customers sample products before buying at about 330 different alcohol beverage control stores. These new tasting laws are an attempt to change alcohol laws to cater to consumer demand and also bring in money for states without raising taxes. Those in the business say easing the law is definitely a good idea for them and their consumers.
The new tasting law in Virginia, it's a good idea for consumers. Of course, they're of age. It just gives them, it gives them a good opportunity to, try new products without having to spend the money first.
While many think it's a good idea for businesses, customers, and state revenue, some think that people will find a way to abuse the law.
I certainly do think people will abuse it. I could see in the next few years people basically going from place to place drinking free alcohol and taking full advantage of it, especially college students.
Virginia alcohol beverage control officials are creating rules with those concerns in mind. Customers won't be getting too drunk, though. The law says that a customer can only sample 1.5 ounces, or about a shot, at any given tasting event. Caitlin Gart, District Wire News, Washington.
Protesters advocating for gun rights are marching through Washington streets today. The march began at 10 this morning at the Washington Monument. Protesters want to remind the government of the people's rights to bear arms during a rally. Organizers of the march chose today because it is the anniversary of the battles of Lexington and Concord during the Revolutionary War.
A new poll says 78% of Americans are dissatisfied with the federal government. Farah Zermain has more.
Discontent and anger. A new Pew Research Center survey finds that 80% of Americans don't trust the government. Banks and financial institutions top the list of despised establishments with a staggering 69% unfavorable opinion. And Congress wasn't far behind. The Democratic and Republican parties face record low ratings from their constituents. Only 25% of people say they have a favorable opinion of Congress.
So you can just be part of what's going to help, or you can just be angry and yell at whoever happens to be in power at the time. And I see that on both sides. I see it being angry at the Republicans when they were in control, angry at the Democrats when they're supposedly more in control.
Pollsters say a recession, high employment, and bitter partisanship are the driving factors in the public's distrust. Farah Zermain, District Wire News.
Hundreds of people are stranded all around the world from the volcano in Iceland. Germany allows 50 flights from Lufthansa to brave the remaining volcanic ash. Scottish Airways and other British Airways will be up and running by Tuesday. In Iceland, meteorologists say that the eruptions are getting weaker and the ash is not as thick. Also, British Airways chief says that test flights have proven that flying is now safe. Visual flight rules allow a pilot to fly an airplane without the use of instruments if weather conditions allow them to see the sky and ground clearly. European officials say airline losses are over $1 billion and criticizing aviation industry for its slow response at this time.
Today marks the 15th anniversary of the Oklahoma City bombings. Survivors and family members gathered in Oklahoma to remember the 168 who were killed in the attack. People are paying visits to the memorial site where chairs now stand in the remembrance of the fallen. Timothy McVeigh, who was charged with the bombing, and in 2001 he was executed for it. Charlie Hanger, the policeman who stopped McVeigh in '97 on the highway the day of the bombing, read the memorial's mission statement at the gathering.
A group of American University students are gathering on the quad to raise awareness for sustainable communities. From violence-free humanitarian zones to a solar cooking contest, this group of students aim to tell passers-by what sustainable communities are and why the world needs them. Lauren Bernhardt has more.
AU students and prospective student tour groups were not the only attractions on AU's quad on Monday. Two AU students, Andrea Bachman and Matt Barnes, built a humanitarian zone outside of the Mary Graydon building.
A humanitarian zone is an area that has been designated by a community as a nonviolent neutral zone, so no armed actors are allowed in. And they're very important in conflict areas like in Colombia.
The students do not just want passerbys to ask questions, though.
Basically, we want to tell people to tell the congressmen about the current conflict so they can alternate a better policy that will help these people.
The events did face some setbacks, though, as wind blew signs and parts of the humanitarian zone down.
A representative from Campus Activities told the group they had to shrink their humanitarian zone. The now 5-foot by 5-foot zone will be up until 5 o'clock this afternoon. For District Wire News, I'm Lauren Bernhardt.
Coming up, an FCC ruling may make it harder to illegally download movies and music. We've got a live interview with an expert after the break. And munitions left over have neighbors in one Northwest area worried about contaminated drinking water. A full report after the break.
And later, American University students continue to push for an environmentally friendly campus by getting rid of water bottles.